Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video. Sasha is pregnant with Michael's baby. Sasha finds out if she's pregnant, and Lulu makes her way home. Today on General Hospital, Rick grills Christina on the stand and accuses her of killing her child. Cody offers Lulu a ride, and Lucky gets an upsetting call about his sister. Please note that if you purchase something by clicking on a link within this story, we may receive a small commission of the sale. In court, Rick asks Christina why she's lying. He says they can all see how upset she is when she claimed she was fine, and he's sorry for her loss. He has no questions but reserves the right to call her back to the stand. Christina steps down, and Ava wonders what Rick is doing. He tells her to trust him. Christina joins her parents, and Sonny doesn't trust Rick. Alexis says he shouldn't, as he'll recall Christina to the stand when it best works for him. Dante takes the stand and testifies he was called to the scene of the accident and didn't know it was his half-sister until he arrived. He explains he went to question the witness in the hotel suite, and it turned out to be Ava. He details that she was acting suspiciously and changed her story about what happened several times. Rick cross-examines and brings up Don's father's custody dispute with Ava, and notes it's suspicious that Dante was the one to question her. Rick asks if he believes Ava is a good mother to his half-sister Avery. Dante doesn't, and Rick points out that if Ava is found guilty, then his father gains full custody. The prosecution objects, and the statement is stricken from the record. The prosecution questions Dante again about the changes Ava made to her statement about Christina tripping over shoes, which later she changed to a bag. Court is called to recess, and Molly thanks TG for being here for her. Meanwhile, Alexis warns Christina that Rick will call her back to the stand, so be ready for him. At her table, Ava asks if Rick will defend her at some point. He says he's been letting the jury know he's sympathetic, but now it's his time to shine, and he'll convince the jury that Christina is to blame for her baby's death. When court is back in session, Rick calls Christina to the stand. Rick questions her about acting as a surrogate for her half-sister and TJ, and how she changed her mind and wanted to keep the baby. Christina confirms this. Rick paints her as untrustworthy and says that her word doesn't mean much. He questions her about going to Ava's suite without being invited and asks about their discussion. Christina says she explained if Ava didn't recall her subpoena, she'd tell the court that Ava killed Connie Falconeri and tampered with her brother's medication, and is the reason Morgan is dead. Rick states that Ava has not been convicted of either of those crimes and claims Christina is trying to punish Ava for her brother's death. Christina insists Ava is guilty of pushing her through the window, but Rick says she told the police she didn't remember much from that day, so is she lying? Christina states she almost died, and her baby did die. Rick says she is clearly emotional. Christina sobs that talking about Ava pushing her through a window and killing her daughter makes her emotional. He calls her erratic and says she has a temper, and Rick brings up when she accosted him and Ava at the Port Charles Grill. Rick says she swore to make sure Ava goes to jail, and if she didn't, she'd find another way to punish her. Rick has affidavits from diners at the Port Charles Grill who heard this. Rick asks if she even thought about the baby she supposedly loved when she confronted Ava and accosted her. Christina cries she never would have gone to the room that day if she knew what would happen. Rick tells Christina she let her anger get the best of her, accosted Ava, and that's why her baby is dead. Christina cries, I did not kill my daughter. Lucky meets Liz at Bobby's. She asks if he's leaving town. He says that it depends on her. He says Lucas says she's in trouble and he wants to help. They sit down, and Liz explains Sam was given a massive dose of digitalis, and the theory is someone grabbed the wrong drug and accidentally gave it to her. Lucky asks if a mistake like this has ever been made before. Liz says none of her nurses have made such a mistake, but they are human. Liz says the hospital is investigating and they'll find out who made the mistake. She knows it wasn't her, but it could mean one of her nurses will lose their license. Lucky offers to put his sleuthing skills to work and find out what happened to Sam. He asks who the last person who gave anything to Sam was, and Liz admits it was her. Lucky asks if the autopsy showed morphine in Sam's system, and Liz says it does, which shows she gave the right medication. They are interrupted when Lucky gets a call from Turning Woods. The manager has been trying to reach Mayor Collins, but she's tied up with emergencies, and Lucky was also listed as a contact. Lucky asks if something wrong with Lulu. The man explains his sister is missing. Liz and Lucky arrive at Turning Woods, and Lucky doesn't understand how his sister, who is in a coma, is missing. The manager explains a fire alarm went off as someone pulled it, then they made inspections after and found Lulu missing. Liz and Lucky question a nurse, and learn Lulu's last visitor was Cyrus Renault. On the road, Lulu approaches a car and asks for a ride. Cody, who is driving, tells her to hop on in. Cody asks if she's okay, and she says she's good and thanks him for stopping. He asks where she's going, so she asks him where he's headed. He explains he's headed home to Port Charles. She says that's where she lives. Cody notes she's shivering, and Lulu claims she and her boyfriend got in a fight in his car, and he left her on the side of the road without her coat and took off. He offers her a lollipop, which he keeps a stash of in his truck, and she accepts. Lulu asks what the day is, and he tells her it's November 26th, but he doesn't mention the year. Lulu is happy as that means her brother's birthday is coming up, and she didn't miss it. She asks about his family, and he says he recently found his family, and they have become close. Lulu says family is everything, and she can't wait to see her kids. She explains she's been away, and it feels like forever since she's seen them. They arrive in town, and Lulu asks Cody to drop her off. He says he'll take her home, but she isn't giving a stranger her address. He introduces himself, so he isn't a stranger, but she refrains from telling him her name. Cody offers her money, as she clearly has none on her. She asks how she'll pay him back. He writes down his number and gives it to her. She thanks him. Sasha drops by Maxie's to talk, and Maxie can see she's upset. Sasha says this is big, but Maxie says she doesn't shock easily. Sasha explains she might be pregnant. Maxie asks her to please say Cody isn't the father. Sasha confirms he isn't, so Maxie asks who the father is. They sit down, and Maxie asks how this came about. Sasha says she had just told Cody about their newfound situation, and she wound up at the Brown Dog Bar and drank too much with someone else who also had a bad day. They ended up having a one-night stand. Maxie asks if she's taken a test. Sasha bought one but hasn't taken it. Sasha says having another baby never crossed her mind, and she has a million other things going on right now. Sasha notes she barely survived when she lost Liam, and she had Brando then. Maxie says she has her, Nina, and others to help her through this. Sasha says she could be a single mother if it came to that, but she fears what happened to Liam could happen again. Maxie says life happens, and you have to deal with it, or it will come looking for you. James calls out to his mom and runs out, having hurt himself playing the floor is lava game in his room. He tried to jump from the doorway to his bed and missed. Maxie and Sasha take James to the bathroom to get him a Band-Aid. He then rushes off back to his room. Maxie asks Sasha where they were, and Sasha says about to find out the truth, and pulls out her pregnancy test. They wait for the results, and the timer goes off. Sasha checks the test. She tells Maxie, "I'm pregnant." Meanwhile, Lulu tries to open the front door, but it's locked. She retrieves the hidden spare key, unlocks the door, and walks in. Watch GH on Hulu $7.99. Buy now. Next on General Hospital, Brooklyn flirts with Chase in bed. Spinelli tells James he has a way to solve this mystery. Molly tells TJ if Christina's testimony gets Ava acquitted, then she'll never forgive herself. Rick asks Christina if protecting her father was more important than protecting her sister's child. Sasha doesn't think she can deal with the pregnancy. Lucky declares he's calling the cops.